Welcome to Doctrine and Devotion, a podcast that explores Christian faith and practice and journaling. From a Reformed Baptist perspective, my name is Joe Thorne. I'm the lead pastor of Redeemer Fellowship in St. Charles, Illinois.
And I'm Jimmy Fowler, executive pastor at Redeemer Fellowship. What is that? What's that noise?
I got a piece of tobacco stuck on my tongue from my cigar. I was like, oh, bad timing.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
I guess I could just pull it off with my fingers and place it into a napkin or something, but I just do that.
You decide, yeah.
I do like that. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How about yourself?
You're still doing some house hunting?
Still doing house hunting? Yes.
Is it fun or frustrating? Or both?
It's a bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit of both.
I always find it to be exciting, right? Because it's like, oh, this is fun, but then there's a lot. The ratio is more frustration until you find the right one, I feel like.
Yeah.
What's the worst part of house hunting?
My wife.
This is not all access, Jimmy.
Oh, I mean, that's the best. You said the best part.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. The best part.
Best part, my wife.
Obviously.
Obviously, my wife. Nah, it's good. We just have vastly different styles, right?
She doesn't see the need for the Hello Pad on top of the mansion. She's like, that's just too much. Why do you need that? You're emergencies, babe.
Yeah. I don't know. She likes more modern, clean lines and very clinical. Sterile, right? Like I like the dark wood. I like more warm. I like stone brick. I like classic. Like a classic estate. Yeah, I guess the best way to put it. Yeah. I follow this account, and they have like Mansion Mondays.
Oh yeah. What's the account?
Probably American Mansions, or I don't know. I'll look on Instagram, but something like that. Anyways, and then I follow other accounts like for Italy and stuff like that. Like, but anyway, nonetheless,
you're on bougie TikTok, aren't you? You're on bougie TikTok. That's all right. That's okay.
Whatever I'm on.
Yeah.
And and so I like that kind of classical estate.
Yeah. Have a moat. Yeah.
I want a moat.
You want a moat?
I want a moat.
That'd be good.
So yeah, we have different, and I also value we want a house that's really open for hospitality, right? Yeah. Like we want to invite people in. We want people to come and enjoy, and just especially people from the church. That's really a big thing for us. But I also want it where it's secluded,
right?
And lots of trees.
You don't want the pop in. You want to welcome people. You want to invite them in.
Yes.
No pop in.
I want no pop in.
Yeah.
I don't want to see my neighbors.
Unless
I invite them over.
That's when they're allowed.
That's fine.
Right.
But I want enough trees and enough land in between.
Drawbridge up.
Yes.
Up. Yeah.
And so yeah, but no, it's fun. The negotiating part is fun. So we're in a position where there's no rush.
Right.
So I don't feel like
you're comfortable at home. So
I'm comfortable at home, and I'm fine. Like in the current market today, because of the rates, right? Houses are going fast. But I don't feel the tension to force anything.
Right.
So I'm kind of working on one right now that I could take my time because it's already been 3 years.
It hasn't sold.
So I'm like, and I know why it hasn't. And so I just sit back and wait. And
yeah. So this is Michael Jordan's old house. Is that right? Okay.
I am not looking at Jordan's old house.
Okay.
That has not sold. That one's been like 10 years, actually.
Yeah. Is it still in the market? I know it wasn't selling. That's the problem. You invest, you're rich, like really rich, and you buy that. If that house is going to be hard to sell in Chicagoland.
Well, it's not that. Like, here's the thing. So when people build a house and they build it custom, and yes, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, but guess what? It's custom to you.
To you, yeah,
not custom to me. And so there's little things, and even things with the one house I've been looking at, just like it's beautiful, it's great. But I'm going to have to spend a lot of money redoing some of this. Now, yes, it's well maintained. You've done a great job. Nothing against the decorator, who's your wife. Nothing against it. It's quite nice. But I still have to change it.
It's not you, or it's not
me. It's not Michelle. But it's got the property that I like, and it's got the seclusion that I like. And to find that sort of land and privacy that I want,
right,
and stay within 15 minutes of the church,
right,
it's hard to find.
Yeah.
Because everything else is like, I can find that perfect house, but it's, 45 minutes out. I'm like, I'm not doing that. That's for us, the value, we've set a limit of we must stay within 15 minutes of Redeemer.
So, but this is not the last house you were telling me about, the one you're looking at. You're like, that one's out.
That's not that house.
Okay.
Now that house was very nice on the inside, very good. I could make it work, but I have to put a lot of trees.
Oh, you don't want to be planting trees, no.
No, if I had to, but still, like you get a house
takes forever.
No. Well, no, stop. If you get a house cheap enough, right? You're looking at 12. You know what? Never mind. I'm not even doing it.
All I'm saying is, like, I said, it takes forever for trees to grow, and I know you can plant
that's
growing
exactly,
trees. I've done it with the Village of Winfield, and some of them die.
And some of them die. No, but they're. I at least I don't know how it was for you guys, but I know for my neighbors when they did that, any ones that died, they came replaced.
Oh, that's good.
Because that then is a planting problem.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but I'm going through my head like I don't want to give numbers.
Okay.
But anyways,
so it's all right. Everybody knows, Jimmy. Everybody knows. Okay, you're gonna buy like a $5 million.
That's not true.
Okay.
First of all, if I
4.9 isn't 5. Okay.
So, stop it. If I wanted to spend that much, all I'd have to spend is 1.5 and be neighbors with Donnie Wahlberg.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be neighbors with
Donnie. I want you to be neighbors with Donnie Wahlberg.
I'm not spending that kind of money.
Oh, but you know how much fun we'd have hanging out with Donnie Wahlberg.
He's not hanging out with us.
He would hang out with me.
He's not even hanging out with
We're from the street. We're the same, he and I.
He doesn't even hang out with you now.
But he would if he saw me at your house.
Anyways.
Okay.
I'm not going to move in my Donnie. For those of you that are not yet all access, you missed out on a great conversation with Daniel Ritchie on human worth and suffering, as well as what is a Christ-like attitude. Here's just a little preview of what you missed out on Banter of Truth this last Tuesday. See, what I love, Daniel, like just hearing from you and in our brief interactions in the past, and what we see online, is you really exhibit this Christ-like attitude, right? And that's one of the things that has really, I guess, one of the things that Joe and I really value and admire about you. And so while many are emphasizing truth and contending for the faith, some seem to have forgotten about kindness, compassion, and grace. How, in the midst of this, then, how would you define a Christ-like attitude?
Oh, man. I think it is one that, like you guys have had Dana Ortland on before. I think it is that it's that gentle and lowly spirit. It's that recognition. One of my favorite stories in the Gospels is the story of Jesus and the blind man in John 9. And as soon as the disciples see this guy that's blind, they go, "Hey, Jesus, who sinned? This guy or his parents that he was born blind?" And Jesus just stops and said, it wasn't that this man sinned. He was born this way, like he was born blind, so that the works of God can be displayed in his life. And then Jesus goes on to heal the man. But I think just in just even that one verse that we get, that one glimpse that we get in the early part of John 9, you see such a kindness where Jesus just stops and he affirms the worth and value of this man when the disciples did not see it at all. And you see so many interactions with that, where Jesus just comes across either the demoniac or guys like Zacchaeus or even Nicodemus. There was such you see the Lord taking time to not only affirm people's worth, but then to point them back around to the hope that he is and that he was about to be through his work on the cross. And I think for us, there is just such a vital aspect of it matters how we preach, but it also matters how we go out to eat with our wives. It matters how we interact with people at the grocery store, at the gas station. Like I'm a vessel of God's glory and grace. And if I hem that in to just when I'm inside the walls of my church or when I put on, my quote unquote pastor's hat, then I've missed the example that I see in Christ, that literally everywhere he went and every person he interacted with was an image bearer and is one who could be adopted into the family of God. And so I think for us to be people, to be leaders that are truly missional, that are truly Christ-like, is that every day is a missions opportunity. Everywhere I go is a missions field, and that the love and the kindness and the grace of Christ ought to be manifested in how I interact with every single human, wherever I am.
We were going to talk about journaling today because we've talked about it in the past, but we've gotten a lot of requests. Could you just cover journaling, do an episode on journaling? And we thought, yeah, we'll do that. We'll do like a beginner's guide. Beginner's guide to journaling. So if you're already journaling, then, listen to this and then give your advice on social media. Tag us in and be like, hey, here's what I do. Here's some tips and tricks. We're just going real basic, how to get started. You would be surprised how many people, even in the church, was like, I'd like to try to journal, but I don't even know what to do. So this is our beginner's guide.
Beginner's guide.
And if you're going to start, you got to start at the beginning. You got to have the products, man. You got to figure out how you are going to record this stuff, how you're going to get it down. Because journaling means words. Like you've got to put some words together and get them down either on paper or digitally. And so there's different ways of doing it, but you first got
to the lighter. This one's dead.
Yeah. You want to use mine?
Yep.
Okay. So you got to figure out, am I going digital or am I doing paper? Right? Am I going to use an iPad? Am I going to use a computer? Am I going to type this stuff up? Or am I going to use a stylus, an Apple Pencil? Or am I going to go old school and use a journal? Now, in my case, I'm stuck on this. I've been doing this a long time, but I've used Moleskine in the past. They have a good thing, but the Lectern 1917 has been something that Jimmy and I have used for a long time now. And it's a great sort of, medium size, or some people call it large. It depends on the product. I think it's A5.
A5, yep.
Yeah, and it's a good journal that it doesn't take up much space. I use soft cover, so it's a little bit thinner and bends a little bit, but still stiff enough to write on if I'm using it on my lap. The thing I like about the Lectern is that the pages are numbered, and it has an index in the front that's blank that you can fill out and then associate topics with various pages, and it has a pocket in the back. Very nice, good paper, and you can get, lined, blank, grid or dot grid. I like the dot grid.
Yeah, same.
So I use the dot grid because it allows me to see lines in a sense, right? These dots are in a row, so I can write easily in a straight line without there being lines breaking up the page. And then the dot grid also allows me to space things out if I'm sketching or drawing something. No, but Jimmy, you've switched. You've ditched.
I've ditched
the Lectern.
I have.
You ditched and switched.
Now, it took me about a year and a half to make the change. And I was doing, research online, watching videos.
Bougie TikTok?
Well, no, it was actually just a lot of like moms and crafts.
Okay. That's good.
But it was because I wanted to see how because I'm not that craft person. I'm not going to sit here and do all the drawings and the colorings and all that stuff. But I wanted to see kind of what it could be used for.
Why did you want to switch from the simple Lectern journal to what you're using now?
So two things. One, I felt like I wasn't using the whole page.
Right.
So the width of it, right? What's different about, like, I've been using now what's called a traveler's notebook. It's the same height as that, but the width is just slightly.
So it's not half as wide. It's more than half. It's like maybe 3/4.
3/4, yeah. A little over 3/4 wide.
Just a little bit more narrow.
It's a little bit more narrow, but the big reason why was I was finding if I tried, because I have to have everything in different lanes, right? Like it's almost like for cooks, mise en place. Yeah, everything has to be, you know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's okay. It's a saying, like, you have to have everything prepared and in its place.
Let's just say everything in its place.
Okay.
You don't have to say mise en place.
Okay. I'm just saying.
It's so bougie.
No, anyways,
okay,
you
go
have
ahead.
everything prepared and ready, and everything in order. And so for me, having one notebook was becoming troublesome.
How do you find stuff in there?
How do you find stuff?
It all in?
Because for me, it's not just, so what I use my journal for is it's not just, but like I have my prayers, I have my study, I have my tasks, and I have my notes from meetings.
Right.
So I can't
have one notebook.
I can't have one notebook. And then you try to take a notebook and you divide it into sections, but one section fills up first. So then now what? So now do you start a new notebook and now you have two notebooks until the other sections fill up.
Right.
You might even get to 3 notebooks, right? Or you then abandon all those blank pages and start a whole new book for all of them, right? And so I switch because you have inserts.
So this is it's like a leather journal cover.
Correct.
That holds
and
4. Is that how many?
It can hold up to. I've had 4 in here, and it bulks a little bit. So right now I've got 3.
Okay.
But it's by Midori, and it's called the Traveler's Notebook. It's very simple, very nice, but it's about the inserts, and you can get inserts from anybody. And you
because that is a regulated size or whatever. That
correct.
You can buy that.
Correct.
And those are thinner. So that's what like I think the Moleskine calls them Kaye journals. It's a thinner journal, but you've got 3 of them in there.
I have 3 of them in there.
Yeah.
And so all with a different purpose. So for me, I went with Midori and then went with different inserts based on different needs. And from there, that's now how I keep it separate.
And if one of them fills up,
you replace that one.
And
yeah, you archive the one and replace it with a new one.
I like it.
And you keep going with the rest.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good and it looks super functional. And that's really important is, to say like you got to have the right products, you have to know what you're doing, like why you're doing it. Like what's the whole purpose or plan that we talk about. And so before we get into that, so you want to figure out, what are you going to use?
Yep.
What kind of journal? Digital, paper, or whatever.
Yep. And if you're going to do digital, which is fine. So I do some digital work as well. And that's more for when I'm taking care of PDFs and marking up some drawings for specs and plans. I use GoodNotes. I find GoodNotes 5 to be fantastic.
And that's for the iPad.
That's for the iPad with the Apple Pencil. It's hands down great, and I still use that.
Sure.
So even in here, in the Traveler's Notebook, because that's always with me. It's in my back. It fits in my back pocket, which is great. I will, especially as bivocational. So I'm preaching tomorrow. So if I have like an hour, I'll open this up to one of my sections that I've dedicated to it, and I'll pull out the Bible and I'll read the passage and I'll start marking notes right here.
Yeah,
and I'll do it all right in there. But then later, like today, it's all going to go on to my iPad. I transfer it to my iPad to sort of work it all out and then preach from that.
Yeah, that's cool. So you gotta have what you need, and if you're going to be writing with your hand, figure out what you like to write with, pen or pencil. And actually, I mean, some people don't care, but most people I find enjoy writing more when they find a writing utensil that feels good.
Yeah.
Right. And that doesn't mean expensive. It just means, do you prefer gel ink, or do you prefer a fountain pen? Or
the Lamy Safari is a great introductory fountain pen.
Just get in there and find out. I like a mechanical pencil. That's what I use.
See, I got delivered here today, not at my house. I now have an add-on to this, so I have a pen loop. Yeah. Because right now I've been stuffing it on the inside or stuffing it on the side here. Yeah. Yeah,
you got to show me that. All right, so you got to have the products if you're going to do it, but it can be super cheap. You can use anything, right? You can literally you get a spiral notebook.
But get that Lamy Safari fountain pen. That's a really good one to start with. For pencils, I'm just saying, if you want to get into that, go with that. Yeah. If you want to go with pencils, the Blackwing ones are
if you like a wood pencil,
a nice wood pencil. I find the Blackwings to work really well. Yeah. Depending on which one. I like the 601. I still have boxes of that in my office.
I like the Pearl. Those are great. The mechanical pencil that I use is the Carry mechanical pencil, 1971, same design since 1971, and not expensive at all. But then I get better lead inserts or graphite inserts from Japan that are softer and write a little bit darker. All right, let's talk about a plan. So you got to have your gear. But your products that you're going to use are going to largely be determined by the plan. Like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. Like, Jimmy, you're doing a bunch of things, so you need a different kind of journal setup. And some people just don't even know, like, what do I do? I need somebody to tell me what the plan is. And so there are different ways that you can journal. Most simply, and what I've done mostly in my life is just Bible and reflection. So I read a passage of scripture and I begin to write down observations, questions, thoughts, conclusions, application. Basically, what we do is we wind up using a Bible study method that we created called Ransom. And we'll link to that in the show notes, but I think it's ransombiblestudymethod.com. We'll get you right there. But it's just free. You can download that for free. And it's a way of reading scripture and then interacting with the text to get the most out of it. But Bible and reflection, that's a common one that people use.
Yeah. So for that one, I have an insert in here that I know we like, you talk about the dotted. For this one, I actually like blank. I like blank pages to do the Bible and reflection. So I find that works really well. You can also then record just your thoughts of the day, actually like as a pure, I guess some would call that like a diary
journal. Yeah.
Diary journal. So yeah, I would just do my reflections of the day, what was happening, what was going on here, just some of my thoughts, maybe my feelings, to kind of, for me, sort through why I react sometimes the way I react. And it's good to look back to see, some of the circumstances that maybe help triggered it, and then to be able to avoid unhealthy patterns of behavior. There's
also some journals that you can get, and it's basically a year-long journal, and it has only a few lines for every day of the year. And it's meant for a very brief, like just simple statements about something that happened on that day. And some people that I know have gotten like their grandfathers or their great grandfathers journal like that. And it's just really interesting. So yeah, figure out, thoughts of the day, diary type style. You can also do guided journaling. And guided journaling means that you're using another resource to guide you through what you're working on. So like you could use something like the Apostles' Creed and say, okay, I'm going to journal through my interaction with the Apostles' Creed by looking up related scripture. You could use the Westminster Confession or the 1689. And there are actual guided journals that you can buy out there. Most of them are bad and not very good. It's already put together and it's got all the stuff in it. Some of them I'm sure are good. I haven't found them. So if you use one that you like a lot, be sure and link to it in social media and share it with us. So we can learn more about that as well.
Prayer journal. I like to, at the end of my, I have my devotions stuff in here. At the end of that, I like to jot down some prayer points or during community group, write down prayer requests.
Yep.
And then I can keep going back to it and, checking it off when it's been answered or reminding myself to follow up with an individual. So even then it's good because I also use it as like a task and calendar, but not full calendar. Because that's always digital. It's just so much on there.
Right.
But like some of those extreme things or a lot of birthday stuff, anniversaries, things that I want to remember and have sight on. But I will then move, something from my prayer journal of like, hey, I need to follow up with that individual. I'll move it to my task insert to remind me to follow up with them next week on it.
Right. Now, is that your bullet journal? Is that what you call that?
Yes, bullet journal.
Yeah.
So that's
the method that you use.
So I move it in there to remind me to follow up. But then I'll even go to the calendar insert and go to the next week and mark something on that day. Follow up with so and so.
Right. Yeah. So this is what's important, right? Is what is the purpose of your journal? And like a prayer journal, you're just gonna. It can either be a list of prayer requests or it can be written out longhand prayers. Or whether it's, a combination of things like Jimmy's doing. I mean, I always carry a pocket journal in my back pocket that I use for quick note taking, jotting down ideas that I'm going to unpack in my regular journal. So I do have a second journal on me at all times, but that's more for like, quick use. Nothing that I'm going to, usually I don't write that stuff down in the larger journal. All right. And then, if you're starting out, you got the products based on the plan that you're using. There are some basic principles that we think are helpful if you're getting started. And one is, and this is not for everybody, but I think for most people, establishing a time and a place where you will do your journaling on the regular is really good. Whether that's 1 day a week, 5 days a week, or 7 days a week, whatever. But if like this is the time and this is the place where I go to do my journaling, you can, whether you put that as a part of your devotional exercises or whatever, that's up to you. But establishing that helps you to get into a rhythm, gives you something to look forward to, gives you something to be thinking about, like, oh, I want to write this down or I want to get this into my journaling time for later. It makes this ritual become more of a habit, right? Something that you will do long term. So I think that's one principle, which is establish a time and a place routine wise.
Yeah, and I think start small is another one. A lot of times people just jump right into it, and they have this big grand plan, and then when they don't do that plan, then they feel like they failed.
Yeah.
When maybe you bit off more than than you could chew. Is that it? Bit off more than you could chew? Chewed more you can bit?
Yeah, you bite off more than you can chew.
Bite off more than you can chew.
You bit it off, and now it's too big. You can't chew it.
God,
it's just hanging out of your mouth.
Yeah. So they chew as much as they can bite, and they just struggle with. They feel that way, and so part of that then is start small. Yeah. But I'm going to add to that. Yeah. Is don't be afraid to readjust.
Yeah.
Because constantly you're going to have to readjust how you do what you do. Right. Mm-hmm. So like, again, at the beginning, I said I had 4 in here because I thought, okay, these 4 things, but I had to take one insert out because 1, I felt like it was too bulky and it was too cumbersome. But then 2, I'm like, it's not working. It's not working well. Right. And it's distracting from the purpose of this for me. Yeah. And so, because this thing's open for me all day.
Yeah.
All day, this is like, I mean,
send me a picture of that and we'll put it in the show notes.
Okay. So yeah, it's open for me all day. It's with me all day. And yeah, part of my routine is every Sunday night I'm looking through, every morning I'm going through the day. At the beginning of the month, I'm looking through the calendar for the whole month to see what tasks need to be done when. And so you have to start small and readjust as you go to fine tune it to what you want it to be.
It's funny because, you see what somebody else is doing and doing something really good. And you're like, I want to do that too. And so I've been tempted to do Jimmy's way, which, I may wind up trying at some point.
Again, it took me a year and a half because I am not one that I'm like, this is working. The A5 is working imperfectly, but it's working. And then I'm like, it took me so long
to pull the trigger. But the thing is like, I'm tempted to, but I would be slow to do it because more than likely I wouldn't work for me. Just because it works for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Some of you guys are all digital apps and all that, and that's great, right? So we're really just talking to those people who are interested in journaling. And I would just say this, in all of your journaling, if you're a Christian and whether you're just doing bullet journaling, just to organize your tasks and projects and everything, always incorporate prayer. Make prayer a part of your journaling habit, because whether it's work-related, family-related, it's your private spiritual disciplines, whatever, it's all spiritual. It's all related to you following Jesus and the good works that he's laid out before you to walk in. So make sure that even if it's not a prayer journal, that your journal is covered in prayer. Mm-hmm. That's got to be I think the key to making sure that you look at your journaling as a part of your spiritual life. Mm-hmm. Because like I said, even if it's work related, your work is what you do for the glory of God 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So covered in prayer, man.
Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts. You can follow us online on Instagram and Twitter at Doc and Devo, or on Facebook /Doctrine and Devotion. You can head to the website, drdevotion.com. There you can contact us. You can sign up for the email blast, hit up the store, jofostore.com, and grab some gear. Fresh pod every Monday and Thursday. Blog posts and video content are over on the website. We got that all access exclusive content just for our exclusive listeners. Head on over to drdevotion.com /all access. Later.